Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Sharon, and this is Sharon Sam Reads. So today what I wanted to do was actually start off what I hope to be a monthly video. I'm obsessed with TBR games and challenges. Some of my favorites being like Becca's Bookopoly, but also I'm watching Library of Alexa, where she has like a different game like every single month and different challenges every month. What I wanted to do was create a TBR game that could be easily emulated by anyone. Now, on to how the game itself will be played. So right now I've got a deck of cards, totally shuffled. The nice thing about this game is it doesn't end up pairing anything up, so you don't have to worry about it having to shuffle like multiple times. It's totally fine. Although I would say just shuffle, just so that you're not picking up the same cards over and over again. But anyway, this is fairly freshly shuffled, but I'll shuffle now. I can't shuffle well. Everything is shuffled, but what I do then is just put down the first, I just showed that card. I'm going to put down 5 cards just from the top of the deck. Above those 5 cards that I have right now in a row, I'm also going to be placing down 10 other cards. So now the cards are, in my head, mentally numbered from 1 to 10, with the top row being 1 to 5, the second row being 6 to 10, okay? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip my cards. So when I flip my cards, I get to find out what each prompt I have to choose is. And then what's going to happen is after I figure out what these prompts are, I'm going to let you guys know what these prompts are. What I'm then going to do is roll a d20 die. Now, I had bought die before, but because of the holidays, they were very delayed in getting here, so I don't think they're even here yet. So I'm just using a virtual die on my computer, which again is how you guys could totally play this game at home, even if you don't have a d20, which is a die that's used in like role-playing games and such. I don't play role-playing games, but I always think those crazy high-numbered dies are super cool in my opinion. Anyway, I have a d20, a virtual one, like kind of pulled up. So what I do after I flip everything and find out what my prompts are is then I roll a d20 to see whether or not I get to keep that prompt, or if I have to add another one, or if I have to remove one from my TBR. You guys will see in a second what I'm talking about. Now for some rules for the dice themselves. So when I'm rolling my dice, I'm going to be rolling a d10. When I roll for the first prompt that I already have selected, if I get an even number, that means I get to keep that prompt. If I roll an odd number, that means I must get rid of that prompt and replace it with another card from up above, which means I have to roll the d10 to figure out which number I get to pick of the cards above. Now, some things that I kind of added to basically make my life more difficult is if I roll a 1 or a 10, that means that I must add a book to my TBR. If I roll the same number twice, that means that I have to remove a book from my TBR. With aces, this one is a little bit different. With aces, if I roll an odd, that doesn't mean I get to remove the prompt. It just means I get to read just 1 book instead of 2 for that single prompt, despite it being an ace. I feel like I've covered all the rules now for the punishment or penalty if I don't finish my TBR. So basically, like I said, the whole idea behind my TBR was to really make sure that behind this TBR game was to make sure I was reading the books that I was really excited about on my shelves and make sure I get to them in a timely fashion. What I will do is if I don't finish a book by the end of the month from that TBR, that book automatically gets rolled over to the next month and has to be read in the next month. If it goes 2 months without being read, what's going to end up happening is that I will then unhaul that book. I figure if it's been on my TBR for 2 months and I still haven't gotten to it yet, odds are it's just not a high priority. Now, for instance, if there is like a big life change or whatever that has happened, or like something like that where I just didn't have the time to read, I will deal with that as it needs to happen. Only a max of 2 can roll over, and then half of them can return to the shelves and half have to be unhauled. Basically, those unhauled books will just be added to my library list of books I can get from the library. At the end of the day, it's a game, it's supposed to be fun, and I also don't want to over stress myself with my TBR, and I'll make the rules suit that as need be. I don't think I explained the rules as fully as I had thought I did, or I deleted that footage. I don't actually know what happened. But right after this shot, I'm going to insert an image of my prompt list itself, and I will also be including the instructions in the description box along with the list of all the prompts. You can feel free to use them however you wish if you decide to do it, but I just wanted to let you guys know there were some more rules that I feel like I swear I said it and I probably just deleted the footage. I don't even know. But anyway, I hope this helps so that you guys can follow along a little bit more easily. And also later on, there's going to be a time where I say that I have the 2 of diamonds and say it's a fantasy prompt. It is not a fantasy prompt. I read that incorrectly. I do correct it later. I had said the correct card. I was looking at the wrong prompt. So now on to my card choices. So for the first card, I have an ace right from the start. Ooh, that is blinding. Okay, I don't know if you guys can, how do I do this? There we go. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I have an ace, so that's the first card, which means I have to pull a card from up above. And then I have the 3 of diamonds. Then I have the 5 of spades. And then we have the 5 of clubs. Then we have 2 of diamonds. This is so hard to see. I really expected there to be more royal sweets, but I guess not. So now we have the 5 cards chosen. For the 3 of diamonds, my prompt is read a classic. Oh my god, I really want to keep this one. I want this one really badly because I really wanted to read a picture of a picture of Dorian Gray or Dorian, whatever. I wanted to read that book.
If only Shakespeare had been as eloquent.
All right, and now my next one is the 5 of spades and go to my prompt. Cool, so I gotta read a thriller. And then the next one is the 5 of clubs. For that prompt is to read a mystery. Ooh, good. I have a mystery and a thriller, so that totally works. Last one, before we get to the ace, is 2 of diamonds, which is to read a fantasy.
You thought wrong!
I am beyond happy, like, so far with these picks, and I'm really regretting the decision about possibly getting rid of any of them. I really hope I roll nothing but evens. But I know that's not going to happen. So anyway, for the first one, what we want to do is figure out, well, one, we have to figure out which book I'm reading for my ace prompt, or what's the prompt for my ace prompt. To roll first, when I roll, I'll find out whether or not I get to, if I'm going to be reading 2 books or just 1 for the ace prompt. After that, I will roll again to figure out which one of the prompts I am picking 1 or 2 books for. So you're going to see in a second. So roll, and it's a 9. Which means I only have to read 1 book for the ace prompt. So that kind of worked out really well. And now I'm going to roll again for a d10. And that means I have to pick up, it says 2. So I'm going to pick up card number 2, which is a 7 of clubs. Ooh, I am not doing this correctly. There we go. All right, we got a 7 of clubs. I'm going to remove the ace, put that over there. And let's see what that prompt is. 7 of clubs. Is to do a reread. I'm really excited. So, 7 of Clubs is to do a reread, and I picked After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which is a book I've been trying to reread for a while now, and this year one of my goals was to make sure that I was rereading regularly, so the fact that it's in my TBR, it's so helpful, honestly. After I Do is a book about a couple that falls in love and falls out of love, and it kind of tells their relationship in alternating timelines as far as when they first fell in love and then after they decided to take a year apart and find out if they still love each other after that 1 year or if it's just they're used to each other and they're afraid to let go. The next prompt was for a 3 of diamonds, and the prompt equals to pick a classic. And for that classic, I picked The Picture of Dorian Gray. This book is a book about a man who basically has like an evil reflection or something. I'm not entirely sure, but the reason I picked this book over anything else was because I actually bought a book about monsters in literature and classic literature, and Dorian Gray's in it, and that was not something I expected to see, and it made me even more intrigued to read this book as soon as possible. Next prompt was a 5 of spades, and this led me to the prompt of reading a thriller. So my thriller of choice was The Passengers by John Mars. I actually just received this book as a Christmas gift from my friend, and she got me this book, and I was so stoked I wanted to read it right away. I had also just gotten The One by John Mars and just finished it last night, and it was so freaking good. I definitely had a couple little issues with it, but I think overall it made me even more excited to read his other books. The Passengers themselves is a book about a bunch of people in smart cars when the smart cars get hacked, and they basically are going to be led to their deaths, and the whole thing is being live streamed out to like everyone, and like the people watching have to decide who's gonna live and who's gonna die based off of the information that the hacker is sharing about them. And it just sounds surreal and incredible. It sounds like a movie. A lot of people have compared it to Black Mirror, and a lot of people did the same for The One, and it was just, I really hope it is as amazing as it sounds like it's gonna be. So I'm stoked to read that. So for my next card, I ended up with a 5 of spades. I always like have to catch myself from not calling it. I'm sorry, 5 of clubs. See, that's what I mean. I got a 5 of clubs. And the 5 of clubs says that I have to read a mystery. And that is perfect because I actually have a pre-order in for The Hand on the Wall, which is the last of the Truly Devious series, which is a series of books that are a mystery. And I am not entirely sure what's going to be happening in it. I read the first 2 books and they did wrap up a lot of things, but now they're dealing with something else. And I didn't want to read too much because I didn't want to spoil myself. But if you've read the first 2 in Truly Devious, I'm sure that you're just as excited as I am to have the 3rd book finally out. And then the last one is a 2 of diamonds. Am I lying? Oh my gosh, I'm goofy. It's not me picking a fantasy. It's a 2 of diamonds, which means I have to read a nonfiction book. I'm excited. The book that I will be picking now that I've been surprised is going to be The Big Book of Monsters, The Most Ghastly Ghouls, Blood-Curdling Beasts, and Wicked Witches from Classic Literature. This is a book I actually found at a children's bookstore when I was there with my nephew, and it just totally called to me. The art style is absolutely beautiful. It is a children's book, but I think it's something that I'm going to be able to enjoy myself. I'm so stoked to read it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to keep every single one of these books. I'm probably, oh my gosh, I really hope I don't lose any of them off my TBR. Why did I decide this of like, I can get hype and then get my heart broke? Okay, so now we're going to find out. So we know we're definitely keeping this because I already rolled the dice for the 7 of clubs because of the fact that it is an ace. So that one is a keep for sure. I'm definitely reading after I do. And then the next, let's see if I'm reading, if I'm keeping my 3 of diamonds. So let's find out. It's an odd.
Instant regret.
So I rolled a 9. So I'm not reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. According to the TBR, I could still read it. There's nothing stopping me after I finish all the other books. I'm so mad. Why did I do this? This was like the most wonderful TBR ever, and I was so excited, and now I'm like, what just happened?
You destroyed yourself.
Alright, so I'm not getting to read that anymore. So roll again. See if I'm keeping the 5 of spades. 7! No, I am not. So I will not be reading. Let's see what the hell this was again. 5 of spades. I will not be reading I'm not reading The Passengers. Great! Yay for Sharon. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Let's find out if I'm actually going to be reading The Hand on the Wall. No, I'm not. It's a 1. So not only am I not reading The Hand on the Wall, I rolled a 1, which means I have to pick 2 more cards. I'm picking them out of my stack versus the 10 above, because, yeah. So I'm going to just move these around just in case I mismatch anything. So these cards, no matter what they are, I do have to keep them. So I'm not rolling again for them. So now let's see if I'm keeping the 2 of diamonds. It's a 9! I lost that too. What the hell? What is this? Like, this isn't real. Oh, okay. So I'm regretting some life decisions right now. So 2 of diamonds, you're out. So right now I have my reread. I have a flipped brand new card. I have to pick 4 from the 10 above using my D10. So I'm gonna pick the number 2, which was already taken. So I'm doing that again. I have to pick the number 9, whatever the hell that is gonna be. I had to pick the number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5 again. Oh, it's a 5 again. So that means I rolled a number twice in a row and I get to remove a 1 from my TBR. So I will do that at the end once I've picked. So I get to remove 1 and a 4 and a 6. Now, I could have just like skipped that roll then since it was a double and then I would have had, but I want to be able to pick from what I've got, if that makes sense. So here we go again. I'm going to just... This is the finalized TBR. These are the books that I will be reading no matter what. Okay, my heart's been broken enough already. All right, so we have the reread. I am definitely doing the reread. So I've got a 2 of clubs, which means I need to phone a friend, which means I have to read a book recommended by a friend or actually contact a friend and have them recommend a book to me. I am not actually going to call anyone right now because I know exactly the book that this friend would recommend because she's been on me ever since I finished the Girlfriend series, which is to read A Court of Thorns and Roses. Then we got A King, haha. So I'm really excited. Look at this art. This is stunning. But anyway, I am going to pick, ooh, what anticipated read? Oh my gosh, there's so many. All right, I'm gonna pick The Big Book of Monsters. I really want to read that book. And then we have Nine of Spades, which means I have to read a book that Micah picks. I will likely remove that from the pile. That's probably gonna be the one that I'm not doing, since I can obviously pick the other books this way. Otherwise, I have to wait a whole week for my nephew to pick one. And then we have another queen. We have another royal one. So I'm going to keep a picture of Dorian Gray. And then we have 5 of diamonds, which means I have to read historical fiction. Why? What the hell? Do classics count for that? Like, is it technically historical fiction if it's historical now? Because then I could just switch the picture of Dorian Gray to that. I feel like I have so much. Hold on, I'm gonna come back to you guys. I'm gonna pick out my historical fiction read because I'm not into historical fiction like that. Like, I've gotten better with it, and I definitely have found the types that I really enjoy, but still. Oh wait, I actually have 2 books that are at the library right now waiting for me. So they're both historical fiction, funny enough. I'm gonna choose Mrs. Everything for that prompt. So it's gonna be Mrs. Everything by Jennifer Weiner, whatever. That might have been done incorrectly. But anyway, I'm gonna read Mrs. Everything for that prompt. I really want to read that book. The other book I have reading at the library is Alice Hoffman's The World We Knew, which is more fantastical historical fiction. Either way, I'm stoked to read either one of those, which is why they're at the library waiting for me right now. Okay, so that was a ride. So the final TBR is as follows, okay? So I will be reading, After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I will be reading A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, which is my phone a friend. The next book I picked is The Big Book of Monsters, which is about monsters in classic literature. Then we have The Picture of Dorian Gray, and then last we have Mrs. Everything. Mrs. Everything, I feel like Court of Thorns and Roses, it's like too much of a booktube staple for me not to be able to, for me to actually have to explain it. I have heard it as a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Also heard it called fairy smut.
So, how big was it?
We'll see what happens. I haven't actually read the description of the book. I've just been recommended it over and over and over again. But my historical fiction pick, so basically it's following 2 sisters from sometime in the 1950s to present day. So it is following a pair of people over the course of time, which is one of the types of historical fiction that I really enjoy. It's more about the character development than about the setting itself. I tend to like those, so cross my fingers that this is the win that I think it could be. But yeah, I am still like a little shook right now that I had like this perfect TBR and I watched it just go up in flames, and that was heartbreaking. Wow. Okay, so yeah, that was rough. Whew, okay, so anyway, you guys could always just do the simple version of just doing with playing cards and then using the prompts to pick the books that you want. Nothing to stop you from doing that. I just like torturing myself apparently, but I also like the fact that if I didn't like a prompt or if I really just wasn't in the mood, I had an opportunity to save myself. That was kind of the mindset that I had when I did that. But it's totally up to you how you guys want to do it. If you guys end up doing this at all, please let me know. Let me know how you guys pick your TBRs. And you can always feel free to change around the prompts however best fits your shelves. You might like instead do each card just corresponds to a different book on your shelf or something. Like, I don't know. It's totally up to you how you want to do it.
Just do what feels right in your heart.
But this is just an idea and something that I thought could be a lot of fun. Anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you had a great holiday. And I hope you read lots and lots of books. All right, bye.